So next up, we have, and I'm going to try real hard to pronounce all this properly. Manuel Kersmakers. Woohoo! I'm like Dutch and stuff. Who's going to be talking to us about his experiences as a game developer and working with Abbey Games on their PC game Reus and other such things. So let's give him a hand and get started.
Hi, thanks for all coming. I hope this will be especially very interesting for the people who saw the last talk, which was, I think, a publisher perspective on what developers should think about publishers, and I will try to do it the other way around. I'll talk from a developer perspective on perhaps how publishers should think, or other people that are delivering services to developers, but I'll also just talk about the development of Reus. It's pronounced Reus, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that was the hard one. Yeah. So who am I? My name is not Abbey Games, it's Manuel Kersmakers, and now it's going automatically again. Okay, I'm a gameplay programmer, I'm an AI programmer, I also do the PR at Abbey Games, and I'm one of its founders. We're a small studio. Before this I was just a student, so that's who I am. Okay, I really should shut that off. Does anybody know how to do it for every slide? No, it's done for every slide. Good point. Yeah. Okay, foreshadowing, that's a cool game design technique. So I'd just like a quick minute for who are you? Like, who of you is a developer? And who of you is not a developer? Okay, some of you are like identityless, anonymous. Who of you have heard of Reus before? That's nice for me to know. Okay, so I'll just go to Reus really quickly. Reus is a 2D indie PC god game, and it looks like this. It's also a digital download. You can get it for 10 euros on most digital download platforms. And it's a single-player core game, so it's not a casual social game. But I don't want to have prejudices about your interests. So I'm just going to talk about this. And it's been released for quite a while, so we've gone through most of the cycle. This is, yeah, let me just talk a little bit more about the game for the people who don't know it. You usually play these gods here. It's a giant, and you send them around, and you have them perform abilities to do terraforming on a huge round planet. And you do it in such a way that humanity eventually settles down and creates civilization. But what you already saw is the other half of the players who does the exact opposite. They just destroy everything. And actually, that's not even true. Every player at some point does this. So I'm not going to talk too much more about Reus, but it's available online, so just check it out if you want to know more. So what is more important is the process. How did Reus come to be? Why did it come to be? And what were like hard things and what were easy things? No, there weren't any easy things. So just as a black box, what was the before and after situation? Before there was virtually nothing, just 4 students with not even a cool idea yet. And in the end, we had all of this. And the end is, you should think about 1.5 years later. So suddenly there was a game, there was a company, it was independent, and there were all kinds of sales, and there were all kinds of people actually working in a game industry that weren't working there before. So how did that happen? There were, of course, a lot of things to do, and I'll just use this as a starting point from how people could have helped us. I'll use it later on. So at first we thought creating a game was just doing the design and code. Yes, we were that naive. We didn't even know there was art involved. So that's us in the corner of the basement of the university we were currently studying. We were working on a game, and if you have sharp eyes, you'll see there's like all kinds of concept art on the walls. That was everything there was. And then before we even started thinking about art, we thought, hey, but game making is a business. We really have to think about this as a business if we want to be doing this for the coming 5 years, because that was our goal, not to just create a cool game, but to work in the game industry. So we already understood that, and we got a guy for the business, because if we just appointed someone for business, then everything would be okay, right? No, not yet. So what we started to realize was that we didn't really have artists. We had the best artists we knew, but they were actually just programmers. So we had to start doing recruitment. We didn't know any good artists, so we had to start networking. That was a really important lesson for us, because we came in all parts of the game industry, and we saw that in like literally everything there was something, so there was someone who was better in it than we were, except for the programming, and I don't mean myself, I mean our lead programmer. He's the best programmer I know. So, don't take him. And then we were here. We had artists and a plant, and we had a full game development team, and we could start working. And then there was the next step. Apparently, you can't just run a game company. You cannot just create a game. You also have to promote it somehow, and you have to do the production so that not after 3 months of development, your entire team crashes down and your development stops progressing. Somehow that happens. Just when you're creating a game, everything goes wrong. So that's why we had to spend a lot of time on PR and production. And when we started doing that and some more business, so we stepped back to just having a single guy for business, all of us started thinking about how can we do this as a business. We started contacting distributors. We started thinking about how we could help people in the game industry with our game. So how could we interest people in our game? And then we were more or less ready until release, and then there came a few more things. This was the team at release, more or less the team at release. Then there were all these things we also had to do, but yeah, we still had a month, so that was okay. We did QA support, localization, porting. Porting is actually still busy, so we gravely underestimated that. And those other things. We didn't have any money yet, so administration was no problem. So that's basically all we did to have Reus where it is now. So how was it received? Well, you already saw how often it's sold. I'll just show you a quick input and output thingy. This was a development time. We worked on it for 18 months, but not with a full team, full time. Most of us worked part-time, except for the founders. Everybody was there for 2 to 3 days. We had 12 non-interns, and as you have seen before, there was no budget, or there was this small peanuts of savings. We just promised them that the game would sell and we would pay them afterwards. And we also promised them with a contract, but people were really trustworthy, but I also think it had to do with the concept. Everybody loved to work on that, and everybody loved to work in Abbey Games. So that's why most of the people tag along. So even 8 freelancers who usually can get money for what they do, they didn't get it now, not until release. This was what came out of it. A Metacritic score of 75, which is not perfect by any means, but it's good. For a first game, it's good. For the critical PC gamers, I mean, it's okay. We were very happy to receive that grade. We sold over the past 9 months 600,000 units, but if you know how Steam works, where most of those sales were, I think only about 450,000 actually fired up the game and played it, because most people just buy it on some sale or bundle, and they keep it on the bottom of their backlog and they don't play it. But that's okay, the money is there. And the good thing is that we had a very positive community. So we didn't really expect this, because the internet is always full of trolls and bad people. But somehow we managed to get all the nice people out of this. Maybe it's because our game is about creation and a nicer world, and it's judge and greed. But wherever there was a troll, there was someone defending the game. And wherever there was someone raging over a bug, there was someone explaining how to fix the bug. And wherever there was someone generally saying, hey, I don't understand this game, it's badly designed, there was someone explaining how the game actually works. And a wiki popped up, and people wanted to help us translate the game. And that's really a very wonderful thing to have. I've heard that many indie developers have problems with the huge negative response they have next to the positive response on the release of their game. And I'm glad that we only had that a little. Okay. So these 600,000 units, they're not all sold by the €10 price point. Most of them were sold during the summer sale on Steam for half the price. As you know, you get like 70% of the amount of sales. So you can do some calculations and see how much we've sold. And 200,000 of that was in the Humble Bundle. So that's an even lower percentage. Let's say about 5 to 10% of the price. That's what you get there. Okay, so why do we think that Reus did so well? We thought about this a lot because we want our next game to do well as well, and we want to believe that it was not just chance, and we want to grow as persons, we want to learn more. So that's why we also want to grow as a studio, and that's why we thought about this a lot, and I just wrote down the core items, and I'll just explore them some more in the next few slides. So let's start off with much control, yeah. So vision, of course you have to have a vision, and it's nice to have a vision, but what was really important is to have a well-defined vision about your game and where you want it to be. Keep to it, and as your team grows, we had a lot of problem with the team growth because lots of people came in, lots of people worked part-time, so it's hard to keep the communication great, and a lot of time went in spreading that vision over the team. So that's hard to do, and it was really important that we did that well and that we could take control over that. Then the technical skills, most of the game companies in the building where we work, namely the Dutch Game Garden, have I said that is a cool place yet? It's a really cool place, there's lots of knowledge there, I'll tell you about it later. Started from the HKU. Most of the teams come from the art school or at least not from the university. That's where our founder team came from. It's the four founders all had programming expertise, and most people we hired also have, or hired, I can't say hired if we didn't pay them, promised money. Yeah, so most of those also could program, and that was actually a really nice thing because whatever you're going to do in a game, it's going to have to use tech, and if they can do it themselves, it's super positive. They can just tweak their own variables, and they can change the game if they want. I'll skip the third one because it's the most important one. Professionalism is really important. It's very easy as an indie with little feedback from the people around you to just keep working on the game until it's good. As the only standard use. Do I still like this? Do I still like where the game is going? Is it already good enough? But we knew from the moment that we started that we wanted a job in the game industry, and as soon as our student loan would run out, that we would have been out of a job and we would have a problem. So we had to do something about it in this 2 years that we had. I think we've been very professional about it. Whenever someone gave us criticism, we actually took it as something valuable, and it's that's sometimes very hard to, it's an important mentor over there sitting. I mean you, JP. Yeah, so it's really important to keep evaluating your own stance. Are you thinking things because they are true, or just because you don't want to admit that you're doing the wrong thing? So these are all 4 things that we were aware of, and we had I skipped the market position. So that's the most important thing. Why did Reus get onto Steam? Why did Reus get noticed? It's because it's a game, it's a God game. And how many of you have played God games? Yeah, so God games are really cool, right? God games are maybe the coolest type of PC game there is, but actually the last PC game, if you don't count From Dust and Godfinger, which is a mobile game, were Peter Molyneux's games, like Black and White and Populous. And everybody wants to play those types of games. That's why God has started development. But we knew that there was no modern God game, and especially not one for an indie price tag of €10. So we really wanted to focus on that, and that's why we chose Reus as our first game, especially next to that it was a cool idea, we thought. So really important for its success. And that's also part of why we got the pass to Steam, and we really don't know why else we got it. Maybe because of professionalism as well, or maybe the friends we had who did a good work for us. But that was lots of luck and very important for our success. Another thing is getting noticed by players and by press. Of course, you need to have a good game, but yeah, you just have to reach the right persons at the right moment. So these are a couple of human factors, but I'm just going to skip through the one I think is most important, and that's the lower one. So it's got all to do with the vision and the professionalism I discussed sooner. But the thing is, in our team, there's different kinds of people. In every team, there's different kinds of people. And what is interesting about our team is that there are a few people who are really hard-headed and a few people who are really humble. And humble in the sense that whatever people are trying to tell you, you just accept it. You accept that they are smarter than you and that they know more about it. And that's a bad thing, except if you have hard-headed people as well. So there was huge discussions over what was the right thing to do after someone had talked with a professional about that Reus was going in the bad direction, or that it was not a good idea to create Reus. And I think those discussions were very important for keeping on the right track. So the last part, help. Where could we have used help, and where should we have used help? This is the most important thing. So this is, as a PR person, this is a question I keep asking myself. Did they get our email? I'm emailing press and I'm emailing YouTubers. Did they get our email? And I'm not really sure, but people that provide services to developers, I guess they might also think this, because we get lots of emails from developers and we only from service providers, and we only respond to a few of them. Why is that? So I think we're a little bit unprofessional here. It's contradictory. But I'll explain our responses to those emails. Sometimes we think we can do it better ourselves. So if someone emails us, hey, we're doing artwork for you, you can outsource it to us. We just think, no, it's better if we do it ourselves. There's more communication and synergy within the team. The second one is, we'd like to have help here, but development is a way better investment than somehow learning about what you're trying to teach us. And then 3, that's the actual bad one. We should explore this opportunity, but we'd rather keep making our game because that's the only thing we properly know how to do. And that's where I think people can really jump in on. So you can really help indie developers with topics that they want to learn more about, but they just don't know if it's good to do that on the basis of a cold call, for example, or if the person that's offering this service is trustworthy. And this is, yeah, like a small thing we also sometimes think, why is there even a company doing stuff like this? So of all the things I wrote down here, these are the things I think people can help us with. And they're not the exact same thing as the publisher of last talk told us about. I think game polishing is not in here. I think we should do that ourselves. Yeah, just to skip through them shortly. Recruitment, sometimes we just don't know where to get a good composer or a good artist at first. If it's not in our network, it's really going to be a problem for us to find the best person around. We could really use some help with that at some point. PR, we don't know how to reach people. Production, we don't know how to stick to our schedule. Localization, we don't know where to go and what language to speak over there. Porting, we don't know all technical things. Merchandise, we would like to have figurines, but we only have a few. And then there's QA, which is kind of boring to do, so we'd rather not do it ourselves. And it's a lot of work to properly test the game. Yeah, but the problem with getting help in most of those aspects is that every indie in his mind always adds these costs to the deal. Like when someone offers something brilliant and it's basically free money, you're still going to think, but if someone else does it, they might not do it properly. They don't love our game like we do. They don't want Reus as badly to happen as we do. So there's a loss of passion there. Because even if the people are very passionate about what they do, very passionate about reaching out to people, if they're not passionate about your game, you're not guaranteed results in the same way you would do it yourself, because you would just stay up really late to send an email to everyone, or just keep explaining the game to everyone until they understand it. And the other thing is loss of authenticity. This is Super Giant Games. They always come to the creators of Bastion. They always come to like places as PAX conferences with almost a full development team, or at least a core team. And it's just really authentical. It's really cool to go there and talk to them. And that's really what most fans want. They want to see that the entire process is done by the developers, and they have full control over everything, and all their money is going to the people who brought them this cool game. And that's also a cost we're always thinking about. So here are some tips. Approach us because of our game, not because of our business. We always love to talk with people who really show that they know Reus and care about Reus. What we always can use is knowledge. We want to do things ourselves, so we want the knowledge to do it ourselves, but as soon as we have the knowledge, we understand that we cannot do it ourselves, and it's too much of a burden to do it ourselves. So relieve us of that burden. If we already know you, we might pay you for it. And definitely commit to our passion, not only your own passion. If you want to commit to our product, then it will look more authentical. If someone else is marketing our game, but they are part of our team, they will definitely, people will recognize that. Everyone will share the passion for the same product. Yeah, so I guess the takeaway here is making a game is super hard, and developers just want to control everything, but we really can't. And I think that's where people can help. But indies can only, I think it's often hard for publishers or other service providers to work with indies because they can only be won over en masse if they're really approached on their own terms, personally. Yeah, and another takeaway is that whatever you heard here and you don't agree with as a service provider of some sort, then still this is the mindset that apparently some PC indie developer has, and that's what you should deal with if you want to work with us. Because as I hope I have shown, there are definitely areas we want to work with people on. So if there are questions, you can ask them now.
You mentioned the problem about people not about that you're not sure if people wrote if people didn't read your email. You weren't sure about that. Did you consider marketing software at that point? Because there's these amazing solutions out there which can just automatically give you notifications without bothering the user with these annoying notifications.
No, simply no. We didn't know that was a good way to go. So that's maybe a point proven already. We need more knowledge. But yeah, that point was also mainly to illustrate that we often think, hey, did people even get our email? And I can imagine that, for example, publishers have the same thing. Like, the questions can also be about something entirely different about development, because there are lots of developers in the room, and I haven't told you everything about the game or about its process.
Anyone else? All right, so I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Always some questions there.